And now these protesters are planning a counter-protest next weekend after hearing about a white supremacist rally planned for Boston.
So they may say they're not the same, may not be the same group, the same ideology.
The group Boston Free Speech has a rally planned for August 19th in the Common. Many say they're similar to the alt-white group tied to the attacks in Charlottesville, but the group's organizer tells me otherwise.
I just want to make it clear that, we're nonviolent. We do not support or condone violence in any way, and we are not associated with the Unite the Right people.
Steven says his group is already getting threats for their plans next week, so he filed a police report and is expecting more patrols.
There's going to be a lot of people, so it's going to be a volatile situation.
He says his group is just promoting free speech, but others disagree.
There's a huge difference between free speech and hate speech.
And Mayor Marty Walsh says hate is not welcome here, no matter which group plans to protest next week.
We don't need this type of hate, so my message is clear to this group. We don't want you in Boston. We don't want you in Boston Common.
It's pretty crazy watching the news right now and seeing how many fucking psychotic fucks actually showed up to this event to protest people. Myself, Kyle Chapman, Shiva, a guy running for U.S. Senate, I believe, Indian guy. There were Bernie supporters who spoke. There was a guy, a black guy who had nothing to do with me or any of the other groups. He came out and wanted to speak, and he talked to us about his message he had. There were Black Lives Matter signs. We all had prayers, and there was nothing Nazi of anything whatsoever. This whole thing in Boston today was a shit show for the media to use to try to fucking spin it in a way that people on the right are crazy white supremacists and all that, completely ignoring the facts. What we saw was a group of like 50 people that we had. It would have been bigger, but the police wouldn't let anybody else in. So those guys that were trying to get in, if you see the videos on Fox and other places of people being beat up with Trump stuff on, you can blame that on Boston, the city of Boston, for not letting those guys into the safe area.
Custody there. This is a very different police response than what we saw in the beginning. And also, Doug makes a good point that this is a very different police response.
20,000 prisons in every state. That happened. Why? Because the white people didn't know what to do with all these free black people. So what do? You ratify the 13th Amendment and have a clause in the 13th Amendment saying that you can enslave people once they're in prison. And then what do you, wait, then what do you do? No. What do? You build.
So these Nazis that are here.
Yeah.
Is that all of society?
What do you mean?
Like, would you consider everyone Nazis because there's a couple Nazis here?
No,
so
I believe that the United States. I believe that the United States as a governmental system is anti-racist and has these practices that we can look at on both a personal level and statistically. So if we can look at both of those things, we can say, wow, the cops as a whole do this. Why? Because the cops started in the 1830s. Do you know why the cops started? Because poor white people didn't have jobs in the South. Do you know what their job was to do? It was to watch black people who were trying to free themselves. That was the job of the cops. The job of the cops was founded for the purpose. Yes, it is his job. His job is to protect
everyone.
No. How do you feel about the rally today?
I think it was a success. I mean, it seems like everyone's left already. We outnumber them like I don't even know how many to 1.
Yeah, and, it was a great peaceful showing of solidarity against the white power movement, and again, there was like 10 or 15 of the skinheads here, and they left already. Like under an hour, they were gone. So, seems like we definitely took care of that real quick.
So there were skinheads here.
Apparently, I mean, at least that's what we're calling them, but they call themselves whatever, white nationalists or whatever, but basically, yeah, they're Nazis.
And did you guys see? You mentioned it was peaceful, so there was no violence or of any kind, right?
Yeah, even there were some people supporting the alt-right side in this crowd, and people were just debating them. I didn't see any fists thrown.
No physical engagement at all.
Yeah, no. Everyone was being real. Even if they had arguments, they weren't being like, calling them like names or anything like that. It was really, I was actually happy to see that. Yeah.
Well, then there is hope for humanity, right?
I hope so, man.
I just think we're fortunate to live in a place where people can easily come together and mobilize for this kind of stuff.
Yeah,
I just wish that the rest of the country can kind of like see what happened here and take it to where it needs to be really taken and challenged.
Yeah, that's a really good point. I think we're living in a special area of the country where where a lot of people want to unite against what we believe is wrong, and luckily everyone, or the vast majority of people here, have the same mindset. So, in different places in the country, obviously like Charlottesville, it's seemingly much more difficult. But I would say the police presence too, the way that the police handled this was a helpful way. They really were able to separate the groups by 2 fences and 4 layers of cops. So, it was tough to get at them too. So
what I'm saying is he's supporting a system that right, that's what we're all doing. We're fucking doing our job. Every cop who kills a US citizen is doing their job, right? Every 1 in 2 trans immigrants who's raped coming into their country, the person who's doing their job.
But that is
no, they're not doing it wrong. Why? Because telling them that they're doing their job wrong would probably have consequences.
Then why did 11 go to jail?
The war on drugs made it so that black people are targeted, not white people. When's the last time you've seen a package of drugs dropped in a white neighborhood?
Right.
Ever.
Like
Plenty of times.
How many white people are walking around Boston with a freaking needle in their arm?
From where? Dorchester, Roxbury, down here. You don't get that shit from Newton. You don't go get drugs from Newton.
Because that's where it was put.
Why
was
drop
it put
drugs
there
in
from
the
US
hood?
Government? The U.S. government dropped drugs and weapons in the hood in the 80s.
War on terror and the war on drugs are the same people.
Shit up. That's like
minorities.
easy data.
You guys are not the minority, sweetheart. I'm sorry.
No, I understand that.
Right.
We've been getting treated like shit for thousands of years.
We went out there because we actually give a shit about freedom of speech, and we protect those people's rights out there that I'm watching right now on the fucking news.
Obviously, that would suggest that there were some minor skirmishes
that are out here right now with smash, fash, fucking signs and all this shit. I mean, it's just completely ridiculous. These people that showed up to this, they believed a lie. The mainstream media told a lie, and what you saw today is the reason. It's an outcome of Mayor Marty Walsh of Boston. He's to blame for this fucking craziness because he came out last Monday and said this was a hate-filled rally and said don't bring your hate here. He set the tone for this.
No, his job is to protect property. That's why the police were founded. It was to protect property.
That's why they were founded.
This was
how long ago? I'm talking about right
now,
and
that's how
today.
They continued. Right,
he is here to protect everybody.
Until his police corps kills a black person like him on the streets every single day. That happens to one person, and then you know what happens? What his bean means? His badge means nothing. His badge means nothing.
If it's one person out of a department, is that the whole department though?
Wow, but
so
then wait. So then you're gonna tell me that over the past 7 years there have been 11 police officers across the entire country who have gone down and gone to jail for killing an unarmed black person, right? So if there's over 1,000 unarmed people who are killed by the police every year, you're talking to me in one percentage. You're using literally 1% to argue against an entire system.
If you want to talk about the judicial system, then okay, that's crooked as fuck.
That's literally what they're doing. It's literally what they're a part of. Like it's connected.
He doesn't go and free a person who kills somebody. That's the judge who does that. That's the judge's job.
It's his job to protect right now those people who, if we weren't standing here, they would come out and hang him in the fucking tree, right? And that's what that guy was saying is if they let out and we're not here, we're gonna make sure that he's not getting lynched. That's the fucking point of anti-fascism.
But when he took on the job, he promised to be equal to everybody, equality.
I know. So when I believe in equity. I don't believe in equality. I believe in equity.